Okay, students, I continue. It was quite pleasant working for Anil. I made the tea in the morning and then would take my time buying the day's supplies, usually making a profit of about a rupee a day. I think he knew I made a little money this way, but he did not seem to mind. So, Hari Singh was quite happy. He was very happy working for Anil. He said that every morning he used to make some tea and then he would go out, to buy the daily supplies. Okay, and after he usually was making a profit of 1 rupee every day, because the money that Anil used to give him for buying things, he would keep 1 rupee for himself. Okay, so I think he knew. That means Hari Singh is saying, the thief is saying that I knew that Anil also knew that I was making a little money every day. Okay, but he did not seem to mind. Okay, but he didn't mind about the fact that Hari Singh was stealing, some amount, very small amount, although money from his daily shopping. Okay, Anil made money by fits and starts. Okay, now this is a new phrase for all of you, by fits and starts. That means irregularly. Okay, so Anil made money by fits and starts means that means he did not have a steady income. Okay, he had, he used to write for, he was a freelancer, he was a writer and he used to write for magazines. So he made money by fits and starts, not regularly. Okay, but on and off he used to make money by writing for the magazines. He would borrow 1 week, lend the next. So whenever he ran short of money, he would borrow money from someone for a week, and then he would again, once he got back his money, he would again return the money in the next week. He kept worrying about his new check, but as soon as it arrived, he would go out and celebrate. It seems he wrote for magazines, a queer way to make a living. Okay, so he always kept on worrying about the next check that was due for him. Okay, from the editor's side, if you write for magazines, you get some money for that. Okay, so he would be always eagerly waiting for the money to come. Okay, and whenever he got his check, that means the money, he would go out and celebrate. That means you can see here that Anil was a very happy go lucky person. He did not bother about much about his future. He was living in the present moment. He celebrated, isn't it, his present time. He was not bothered, he was not worried about what is going to happen in the future. So the narrator, the thief, tells us that it seems that he wrote for some magazines. Okay, so he didn't know much about it because he was himself not educated. So from Anil he has come to know that he writes for some magazines as a freelancer. A queer way to make a living. Queer means strange, very unusual. Okay, so for Hari Singh it was very unusual. It was a very unusual way to make a living by writing for magazines, isn't it? Okay, one evening he came home. Who is here? Anil. Okay, Anil comes back home with a small bundle of notes with some amount of money. Okay, saying he had just sold a book to a publisher. At night, I saw him tuck the money under the mattress. Okay. Now, one evening, Anil comes back, okay, with a bundle of notes. That means money, and he shares. He used to share everything with Hari Singh. Okay. So he told Hari Singh that I made some money by selling a book to a publisher, and at night he kept the money under his mattress. Okay. I had been working for Anil for almost a month. Okay, now you can see that the devil inside Hari Singh, okay, was, pinching him, was telling him that this is the right moment for you to rob Anil. Okay, so he says, okay, here is the thief, Hari Singh. He says, I had been working for Anil for almost a month, and apart from cheating on the shopping, that means 1 rupee that he used to make every day, I had not done anything in my line of work. Line of work means his usual work. His usual work is what? Stealing others, isn't it? Theft. So he's saying that other than making that 1 rupee every day from the shopping, I did not do anything big in my line of work. Okay, in my line of expertise. It means I did not steal anything good from Anil. And it is high time. I think I should do something big. I had every opportunity for doing so. Although this is not the first time that I'm getting an opportunity. I got such kind of opportunity to steal Anil even before also, but I don't know why I could not rob from him. Anil had given me a key to the door and I could come and go as I pleased. He was the most trusting person I had ever met. Okay, now very important lines once again, students. So he said that it is not that I never got an opportunity to steal from Anil, because Anil always kept a key, kept a key of the door to with me, but and I could come and go easily as I pleased. But he was the most trusting person I had ever met. Okay, he had known me only for a few days, and he used to trust me by giving his key of the door. So somehow, I felt that, even though I had so many opportunities to rob him, but I could not rob him, and that is why it was difficult to rob him. Now once again, student, here is an important question for you, okay, for all of you. And the question would be that, why did Hari Singh think that it was difficult to rob a careless person? Okay, why it was difficult to rob a careless person like Anil? Okay, now here is an explanation why it is difficult. Okay, these paragraphs are important, please mark these paragraphs. And that is why it was so difficult to rob him. It's easy to rob a greedy man. Okay, so Hari Singh says that it is easy to rob a greedy man because he can afford to be robbed, but it is difficult to rob a careless man. Sometimes he doesn't even notice he has been robbed, and that takes all the pleasure out of the work. So he says, the thief says, see, now here he is sharing the psychology of a thief, isn't it? So he is narrating the story from his point of view, from a thief's point of view. So he's saying that, it is very easy to rob a greedy man. Okay, because when you rob a greedy man, there is, twin pleasure. One pleasure is that you made money out of this particular activity, and second thing is that the greedy man, when he discovers that he has been robbed, he will be mentally shattered, isn't it? So so he finds pleasure not only in robbing people but also in irritating the other people. Okay, so a greedy man definitely will be frustrated and depressed and irritated when he will find that he is being robbed. Okay, but it is difficult to rob a careless man like Anil. It is very difficult to rob a careless, carefree person like Anil, because this kind of person he's living his everyday life, isn't it? He is enjoying his everyday life, and it really doesn't matter how much money he has, how much money he has lost, isn't it? Sometimes he doesn't even notice he has been robbed. That means this careless man here doesn't mean in a negative sense. Okay, that means a carefree man like Anil, no, even if I rob him, he may not even notice that I have robbed him. He will not feel anything inside. If he won't get angry, or he won't be irritated if he finds that he has been robbed, because he is such a happy-go-lucky person. So it takes all the pleasure out of the work. Yeah, I might make some money out of it, but if I see that the other person is not irritated, okay, so that in some way decreases the excitement of robbing someone. Okay, so this is the explanation of that question. Okay, this is a very important question, students, so mark this paragraph, that Anil says that it is easy to rob a careless person but difficult to rob a careless man. Why is it so? Okay, well, it's time I did some real work. I told myself I'm out of practice, but somehow, after all this justification, he says that no, it is high time, it is no, it is some time that I should do some real work. What is this real work? To steal. Okay, I told myself, I was telling myself that no, you can see here that there is a conflict even inside him, isn't it? There is a conflict. One mind is saying that you should rob him, one mind is saying that you should not rob him. But now somehow, the evil side overwhelmed or overpowered him. Okay, and he was telling himself that no, now it is high time I should try to rob Anil. I'm out of practice. See, I have not stolen for so many days, and I'll become bad in my profession if I don't practice it. Okay, and if I don't take the money, he will only waste it on his friends. Now here you can see that in the previous paragraph there was that good thing that was trying to convince him. There is good and bad in all of us, isn't it? That in the previous paragraph we have seen that that the good side of Hari Singh was trying to tell him that why he should not rob Anil. But in the next paragraph, the bad side, the evil side, is telling that why he should rob Anil. See, students, whenever we try to do something, there are always we always have two minds that are always guiding us, isn't it? And mostly when we try to do something wrong, there is one mind which tells us that you should do, and it will give all kind of justification, okay, even for the wrongdoing. And there is one dominant good good thing in all of us, I believe. Okay, and that also pricks us, tells us, our conscience also tells us that no, this is not the right thing, we should not do it. So there is always an inner conflict in all of us, isn't it? So beautifully portrayed in this story, you see, by Ruskin Bond. So he says, now the bad side, okay, the bad thing is getting dominant, trying to overwhelm or overpower him, and it is saying that, you see, as it is, if you don't take the money, from Anil, he is only going to waste it with his friends. He will go and have party with his friends, and he will spend his money. After all, he doesn't pay you. And there is one more point that he is trying to add. What is it? That after all, you don't even get any salary for whatever work you are doing. Other than making that 1 rupee every day, you are not being paid. So it is justified, it is perfectly all right if you rob Anil. Okay, now Anil was asleep. A beam of moonlight stepped over the balcony and fell on the bed. I sat up on the floor considering the situation. If I took the money, I could catch the 10:30 express to Lucknow. Sleeping out of the blanket, I crept up to the bed. Anil was sleeping peacefully. His face was clear and unlined. Even I had more marks on my face, though mine were mostly scars. Okay, so he could see that Anil was sleeping that night. He was sleeping so peacefully. Okay, and then he was meditating. Hari Singh was trying to calculate that if I can take the money and run away, then I can take the I can catch the 10:30 express train to Lucknow. I can simply escape from this place. Okay, now he's sleeping out of the blanket. That means he came out of the blanket from the, he was sleeping on the balcony. He crept to the bed. He crawled. Crept, samajh mein aa raha hai na? Crawl. He crawled up to the bed where Anil was sleeping. Anil was sleeping peacefully. Okay, once again, here is a reference to the fact that Anil was such a happy person, isn't it? He was sleeping peacefully. But think about Hari Singh. He was always so much in distress, isn't it? His face was clear and unlined. His face was, when you sleep peacefully, your face is, you will have a smiling face even when you are sleeping, isn't it? His face, that moonbeam was falling on his face, and his face was clear, and he could see that there was no wrinkle, unlined. That means he was a happy man. Okay, there was no frowning lines on his face. Okay, and he's telling about himself, that means Hari Singh is telling about himself. I had more marks on my face. Okay, though mine were mostly scars. That means why? He was being, definitely he was being attacked by so many people because he was a thief. So he might have tried to hide in so many places, and so he had got so many wounds and so many scars. Okay, so he's telling here, he's contrasting his face with the face of Anil. Anil's face was so divine, isn't it? And his face was mostly full of scars. Okay, my hand slid under the mattress. Okay, so he's saying that I took the courage, okay, and I put my hand, okay, I slid under the mattress, okay, searching for the notes. He was trying to find out the notes. When I found them, he caught hold of the notes under the mattress. Okay, I drew them out without a sound. Okay, he took them out, okay, very carefully, so that there is no sound. Anil sighed in his sleep and turned on his sleep, okay, towards me. Okay, Anil was on the other, sleeping on the other side. Okay, and then Anil took a deep breath. Side means deep breath, and he turned. Karbat badalna, hai na? He turned on this side, the other side. That means towards me, facing me. I was startled. I was shocked, and quickly I crawled out of the room. Why? Because he was afraid that Anil might wake up and he might be caught. So he quickly crawls out of the room. When I was on the road, I began to run. Okay, he was exasperated. Okay, he was excited. Okay, and so he was running. I had the notes at my waist, held there by the string of my pajamas. He tried to hold the notes inside the pajamas. I slowed down to a walk and counted the notes. 600 rupees in 50s. I could live like an oil-rich Arab for a week or two. So how much did he count? There was 600 rupees, 650 rupees. And he thought to himself, oh my God, with this 650 rupees, I'll be able to live like an oil-rich merchant of Arab for at least 2 weeks. Okay. So students, I'm stopping here because already I have made 2 videos of 30. I think it is already 30 minutes. So in my next class, I will end the chapter and also I will discuss the questions. Okay, thank you students.